generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet. Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. Today we are talking about Sonic 3. It is the new movie, well, one of the major new movies this past weekend. And so we're going to tell you our thoughts on it. We'll give the movie a rating, and then we'll talk a little bit about what happened in the movie, and then we'll call it good. So, non-spoiler stuff. I love the movie. I had heard that this was going to be the best one of the three, and I would say absolutely this is the best one of the three movies. This movie was go, 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 but it wasn't like it wasn't at a pace where it was bad or annoying. It was just that they kept you engaged, so you felt like you were, just moving right along. This is like a borderline 2 hour film, and I don't think it felt like 2 hours. My favorite character from the movie is the Dr. Eggmans, both of them. I mean, you can see from the preview and the posters that we get two Jim Carreys this time, which is double the fun for me because he's my favorite character in the movie. So I really liked it. I felt like the plot, the characters, the action, everything was just that much higher for everything in this movie. And so I think it's a great watch. Really, even if you haven't seen the other two, I think you'd be fine as well. If you're kind of in that boat of, it sounds really great, but I haven't seen the other ones, I think you could get away with it with this one where you don't have to see the other two. So, Sarah, what'd you think?
Yeah, to that point, I would agree. As long as you have a general understanding or even just watch the trailer, I think that tells you enough of who these characters are, to not need to necessarily see the first and second films. They all kind of seem like standalone films a little bit. Like they build on one another, but at the same time, you don't have a whole lot from previous ones that you would need to know for this one. Um, Overall, I thought it was a great film. It was very fun. I feel like they cranked up the comedy on this. They broke the fourth wall a lot, just for that style of humor. Um, I was a bit disappointed in Dr. Robotnik, and the reason why for me is just that I feel like he went from being super evil and just like pure evil to maybe not quite that far on the evil scale. And I'm gonna try to leave it as vague as I can for that, just because I don't want to spoil the movie. But his persona wasn't necessarily what I would have liked to see from him. Um, yeah, he was funny, but he wasn't the same character. And I feel like
Well, you see from the first two movies that he's failed twice, so he's kind of a broken man.
yeah, but I don't know. I feel like with what we did with his character, and I'm gonna leave it a little vague on purpose. We can get into it in spoilers, but I feel like we've been there, done that with this type of character before.
With Eggman?
Not with him, but with a character, I don't know how to say it without it being a spoiler.
All right, then we'll move on.
We'll leave it at that. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it's something from I don't think it's something from the trailer.
I think it I the so you can tell from the like I said from the poster, the trailer that we get two Eggmans. Uh, I think I think it was a good way to go about it. Um, Eggman, like I just said a second ago, the first two films we see in the preview that he's got ridiculous hair because he just has not been doing anything. He's just hanging out in his little robot, watching soap operas because he loves those. And he's eating a lot of takeout. He's not taking care of himself. And so we kind of see the evolution of going from that to, and then dealing with two Eggmans and how does that dynamic play out. So I don't know. I really liked it. Like I said, more Jim Carrey just meant better for me. But I guess we'll go into ratings because I don't think there's much more that I need to say for non-spoilers. And you go first.
I am at an 8 for this film. I feel like it was a really strong film. It was enjoyable, it was fun, but it wasn't quite as polished as I would have liked it to be with the characters.
Hmm. Okay. I struggle to pick the number I want because I'm between two of them, right? But I think for the sake of doing it for the Vine, we're gonna give this movie a 10 out of 10. I love the movie. I'm not gonna let anybody, make me feel that it needs to be any lower. And so I just really enjoyed it. The only thing that I didn't enjoy about this movie is that people just can't behave during movies. And it's not like, oh, you went to a kid movie, you have to expect that. It's like, no, it was the grown adults that were being childish as well. So, it that was the only thing that bothered me. But otherwise, the movie itself was fantastic. So I guess we can talk about some spoilers. Um, you know, like we said, Eggman, he's kind of banished himself, or exiled. They actually don't know where he's at, because in the second movie, he falls from his big robot and then they can't find him, so they don't know where he's at. But we
So
know.
this was the thing. I just had a trailer playing a second ago to try to see if it was in there or not. And at least in the trailer that I saw, it didn't show him being the broken man that you're talking about. So it's what I didn't know if it was a spoiler or not. But we've done this with Thor, where somebody's like lost their magic or whatever and is like down in the dumps and a Thor dad bod and stuff. We've been there, done that. It's not, I don't know. I felt like it was so lazy.
You want to know something about Thor? I didn't care about that one. I felt like that if I compare the two, this one was way better handled than the Thor one. I think for the Thor situation, it was, oh, we love Thor. This has to be amazing. Whereas here, I thought Jim Carrey was legitimately like funny with it all. But uh, yeah, that's my take on the Thor situation. But yeah,
I'm not saying Thor necessarily did it better. I'm just saying it's not original.
I think Jim Carrey did a better job with it. So, um, so the movie starts. I was talking about Eggman for a little bit, but I guess I should kind of try to go in order so I don't get mixed up. The movie does start with Shadow and being broken out of his little containment cell that we were teased with at the end of Sonic 2 in the after credit scene. So he breaks out of the facility. It's right off the coast of Tokyo, in Japan. And so he heads towards Tokyo, which then has what was the name of the security? Gord or something like that?
Talking about gun?
Is that what it is? Gund?
I
Like,
thought it was just gun, like Gun.
oh, I thought it was Gund. Okay, maybe it's just Gun. They rally up our Sonic trio, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and say, this is a Team Sonic situation. So they take them over to, deal with Shadow, but Shadow kicks their butts, right? And so they decide to go to this very famous, what I would equate to like maybe like a Chuck E. Cheese or something here in the United States. But it's a super popular place over in Japan. And then they get tracked down by the Eggman robots. And a dude comes in on a motorcycle and stops them. And we find out a little bit later after they track this guy down is that it was Eggman's like latte guy. And
Agent
so,
Stone.
yeah, Agent Stone, and he reveals, where Eggman has been, invites, the Sonic team to go see him, and they do. And then this is where we pick up with Eggman being kind of a broken man, and they convince him to help them with trying to find out, who is impersonating Dr. Eggman, and also how can we take care of this shadow guy. Uh,
I did look it up. It is GUN. It stands for Guardian Units of the Nation.
oh, okay. For some reason, I thought there was a D on the end. That way, it wasn't just purely gun, like, shooting and stuff. But whatever. I apologize to the Sonic community. I have never finished a Sonic game, but I do enjoy the movies. We actually haven't seen the show. There's a Knuckles show on Paramount Plus that we haven't seen. Uh, okay, so they team up. They go to this like facility with the facility, I think where Shadow like started because it was in Oklahoma, I believe they said. And they go there and it's abandoned, right? It's all kind of destroyed. They enter there. I thought this was a really cool sequence because it was creepy to them, and so they like split up. And the movie kind of takes on almost like a horror film feeling where they're split up. They're trying to look for something. They're even referencing ghosts at this point because Knuckles was afraid of the Casper movie, and so they're like, "Ooh, don't get scared going down that hallway." And Shadow ends up being kind of like the ghost of the situation. But this is
Thought it
where,
was kind of cute. She said that there's no such thing as a friendly ghost, which is the tagline of Casper the Friendly Ghost.
right. We find out here that Shadow is working with somebody, and that somebody is the other Dr. Eggman. We find out that the older one is the grandfather of the Robotnik that we have been, with in movie one and two. And so, they kind of have their bonding moment. Uh, let's see. I think Shadow and the Sonic team, they duke it out a little bit. Do you remember what happens next?
Um, I
We
think
know
this
where the
is
movie
when
goes.
yeah, they got a key. Our band of heroes got a key card from one of the agents from Gun back at that. Uh,
Chuck E. Cheese type place.
yes,
It was
thank you.
the like general dude.
Yep. So that's one of the two keys. They need the second one, right? And so that's what it's a race to find the second one. And so Shadow, he like chains all the other three heroes to like a post and they find their way back to home. So it's kind of like a race now. Who's gonna get that second key first? Where is it? Who's gonna find it first? So we've got our regular trio who go back home to work with was it Tom and Maddie? And then we've got the two Robotniks with Shadow and Agent Stone who are on their own mission to go find that key at the same time. And why do they want the keys? Because they found out that there's some sort of massive weapon or bioweapon, or we don't know fully at this point, I think, what it is. What we find out later is that it can basically obliterate the whole planet. And it was created by Grandpa Robotnik.
Yep. And he was actually surprised that Gunn actually went through with making this thing because he was actually surprised to see it. Because I think he worked for them while Shadow was, first being introduced, like to Earth, but uh, then they end up splitting away after an accident that happened at the facility. So like there
Yeah,
we can
Grandpa Robotnik and Shadow kind of like trauma bond over the loss of Maddie, which Maddie was Shadow's friend when he was like a test subject, and the relation to Grandpa Robotnik, I don't really know. I just know he cared about her.
think he was just one of the doctors that was running tests on um Shadow, but she was the daughter or granddaughter of whoever was in charge of the base.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And so my guess is just that, the people there bond and care about each other. So that's probably how he knew her. But Uh, yeah, so we get Shadow's backstory a little bit here. They actually mention in the movie that it's similar to Sonic, it's just that it's the opposite, where, Sonic, when he got to Earth, he was greeted with friendly people and basically lived a nice life. Whereas um, when Shadow got here, yes, it started off great, but then it ended up going very, very poorly. Uh, so they're going to try to get this second key, and the big thing here, like the big problem is that they know where it's at, but to get there they have to go through these lasers that I guess can kill you, and the Robotniks get there first. And the younger Robotnik made a suit so that the lasers cannot penetrate their skin or anything of them. They have like a shield. And so we even get like a funny little dance sequence here of the two doctors dancing with each other. I forget what the song was, but I recognized it from one of my video games, probably one of my sports games or something.
I recognized it and was disappointed just because it didn't have as good of a hit as what I was hoping for. I feel like there was a better song choice out there. I
Well, there
don't
definitely
remember
was better song choices.
I don't remember what song it was. It was almost like they pulled out some of the lyrics from it or something. It was a different version of the song than what I'm used to hearing.
Do you know what the song was?
I don't remember.
Uh, I,
That's how unimpactful it was.
hmm. Like I said, I heard it from a video game, so that's why no idea. But they get there first. Eventually, Sonic and the gang get there as well after Sonic is able to penetrate the shield of the gun facility. And when they get there, there's like this gravity thing that one of the other generals turns on, which makes the Robotniks hit the floor. Like they got full gravity, and then Sonic has like anti-gravity where he's floating. But there's a scuffle here, and the Robotniks get their hands on the second key because eventually they go to the big spaceship and power it on to make it go up into space. And so the older Robotnik wants to destroy the Earth. Basically believes that because the backstory thing, uh, when that occurred, like Sarah said, the girl died, and he believes that mankind is a failed experiment. And so he just wants to wipe them off, wipe all of humanity off, or off the face of the galaxy for that matter, and then just have it be over with. He's upset about how things have gone throughout his life. Young Robotnik does not want that to happen because even though he, isn't happy with XYZ that's happened in his life, he doesn't want to, kill everybody. So there's kind of this back and forth with them. Uh, I think
Well, I
it's
think
kind of
young Robotnik would rather it be that, we have this powerful weapon, let's use it to rule the world instead
right,
of just kill the world.
right, which just isn't good enough for the grandpa. So I thought it was very funny here because they were using their tech that they have and they were like making different things. And the the grandpa had a hand come out that he was supposed to use for like a cosplay of Green Lantern. And they said something, I forget which one said it, but one of them said that they had recently watched the movie as a hate watch. Like they were watching it just to hate on it.
I haven't seen that since I hate watched Green Lantern in 2011. I think that's what the line was.
Something like that, but I thought that was funny because even like Ryan Reynolds gives Green Lantern crap. Like if you go and you watch, I think it's the end credits of Deadpool 2, I think it was, where he goes back and like kills all those previous roles he's been a part of. Green Lantern was one of them. So funny things like that. Um, eventually,
Well,
the
and then when we go back to seeing them again, he's using that giant hand to like spank the young Robotnik.
yeah,
Like I haven't seen you in forever. You get some spankings because you've been a bad boy.
Yeah, because he wants to turn on him and, not make his plan go through. So yeah, that was pretty funny. Um, while that's all going on, Sonic is actually trying to uh, take out Shadow because during the whole fiasco at the gun facility, Shadow, I think it was Shadow, like punched the dad character. Is it Tim? Tom? What's his name?
Yeah,
Tom?
he had some weird tech that him and Maddie were using that could make them look like other people, and he used that tech to look like the general so he could get the key from one of the other employees. But what Shadow saw was that other general that he really hated, so he punched him, not knowing it was actually Tom. And so Sonic just sees that, essentially Tom's on the ground, knocked out, possibly dead, and Shadow's the only one there, so clearly he's the one who did it.
Yeah, so they duke it out. Eventually, their fight gets so intense that they go to the moon, and then that's basically where Sonic like remembers Tom telling him in the beginning of the movie, like wasn't it like your pain will influence your decisions or something like that?
So I'm gonna back up here a second because Shadow went with the Robotniks with the key, and so he's charging up the machine that's up in space, right? Whereas Sonic is still on Earth, and he takes the emerald from Knuckles, even though they'd all had a pact to never use it, right? And so he finds a way to get it or convinces him to get it, and so then he goes up to space to fight Shadow now that he's got the emerald power. He's like the golden Sonic, if you will.
Very
And I
much
think
like Dragon Ball Z.
what you're looking for is that he said, like, don't let your trauma distract you from who you are, or something like that.
And that's kind of what brings Shadow down a little bit, right? And makes them friends essentially. Uh, and so that's what makes them kind of bond together so that they go and take out the space station that uh, Grandpa Robotnik has created. And so on their way there, Grandpa Robotnik releases like a bunch of droids, and so they're fighting these droids in space. Um, the altercation between the Robotniks on the station, again, even though it was like really funny, the way that it ends is that Grandpa Robotnik long or releases the young Robotnik through a hole in the bottom of the ship to, have him, fall into space and probably die on Earth. But Tails catches him and, flies him back up into the ship. And young Robotnik takes out this little piece of hair or whatever it is, pine from Sonic the Hedgehog, and he uses it to zap the Grandpa Robotnik in the butt, and he goes flying, and he hits the energy that Shadow has created. I don't think it's like nuclear energy, but it's very powerful energy where if you touch it, you're dead. And so he just basically evaporates when he touches that. Um, so they've taken care of that. Sonic is trying to. So they shoot the beam like before the Grandpa Robotnik is gonna die. He does shoot the beam to try to take out Earth, and so Shadow and Sonic are like holding that energy, trying to stop it from hitting Earth, while the young Robotnik and Knuckles and Tails are trying to like turn the ship so that it shoots somewhere else and doesn't hit Earth. This ends up making Sonic pass out, and then he's like falling to Earth. They do turn it enough to not destroy Earth, but they do cut a bit of the moon. Again, just kind of the funny little comedy that happens. Uh, when they divert the shot, Eggman's like, I did it. I'm the best, kind of a thing. And then as soon as they cut the moon, he looks at the other two and is like, what have you done? Like just passing the blame off to them, even though he's trying to take credit for this awesome thing. So he does like a lot of funny one-liner type things, and I really enjoyed it. Sonic is falling to Earth. Tails and Knuckles go to save him by throwing one of those rings to like behind Sarah there, and they're able to save him. Shadow is pushing the big ship to try to get it away from Earth and probably, off into oblivion.
Yeah, because it became unstable and was going to explode. So if it was close enough to Earth, it would have basically showered radiation rain all over Earth.
Yeah, so he's pushing that away. It does explode. Young Eggman is on the ship. I'm hoping that he's not actually dead. When we were leaving, people in the theater were like, "Oh, he's definitely dead." And so I'm thinking like he better not be because if y'all want me back for Sonic 4, Jim Carrey better be on board. So, um, I'm looking forward to it if he's still in it. But so that ship goes away, it explodes. And we basically wrap up the movie with, our trio having a good time back on Earth. Tom is actually okay. He's got his arm in a sling, but he's very sore. Um, and then, yeah, they cut to the credits essentially. And then there's these two after credit scenes. One, the first one, the people in the movie theater went freaking nuts. So remember, Sarah and I we haven't played the games. We don't know many of the characters,
I
but
used to play the game when I was a kid. I don't know all these extra side characters, but I wouldn't say I've never played any of the games. Let's not go too crazy.
I've played some of the games, but I have never finished one, to be fair. But the end credit scene, we see like Robo Sonic appear. I apologize, I don't know this politically correct name, but there's also another character, a female character with pink hair. She showed up with a hammer. Sarah, are you looking it
She
up?
is she is Amy Rose.
Well, there you go. Amy Rose shows up.
Ooh, who apparently has a crush on Sonic.
Ooh, we're gonna have a love interest in Sonic 4. And then the second after credit scene was basically acknowledging that Shadow is still alive. They did not acknowledge whether or not um, Eggman is still alive, just Shadow. So, but at the end of the second movie, they're like, we don't know where he is. I mean, if you were to ask me, the way that he went down with his robot, I figured he would have died, but he didn't. So I wouldn't put it past him that I don't think the Eggman is dead. I feel like he's a villain that you just can't get rid of.
Yeah,
What
maybe he found
who
a
are
separate ring or something.
who would be the other villains if not Eggman?
I don't know.
Well, apparently, according to this website, there's the 13 best villains in Sonic. So I guess there's a lot of them. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of different bad guys, but again, I really need to have Dr. Eggman in there involved some way, somehow. Um, because for me, Jim Carrey is the glue for this movie.
I from if this what I just Googled firsthand right here, it says Robotnik has remained the atypical Sonic villain since the beginning, and he's traditionally the final fight of every Sonic game. Of course, there might be outliers. I don't know how factual this source is or not, but it would make sense if he comes back, if that's really how the video games are handled.
All right, well, I hope he's still around then. Uh, I wish I could see it again. That way I could remember more of the one-liners that I thought were hilarious, but just let it be known that there was a lot of good ones from Jim Carrey, in my opinion.
Well, don't forget, even when they're fighting on the ship, kind of towards the very tail end of the movie, and they're using their tech to fight each other, right? We got Grandpa Robotnik who turns into a scorpion, so he's got these giant claws and like a scorpion tail. So young Robotnik turns into a praying mantis and like cuts off part of Grandpa Robotnik's mustache. Just it's totally ridiculous.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I mean, if there's one word that I think really fits Jim Carrey's antics is it's ridiculous. And so that's why he's the perfect fit for this movie. and for that role, especially if that's the way that they want to portray Eggman. So that's why I said, you need to have Jim Carrey in there for at least for me to keep really rooting for it. Um,
Yeah. I do like me some Jim Carrey. And I will say, him feeling defeated and stuff at the beginning of the movie, I get that. It's when he comes back, I feel like he's not his normal self. He's just, I don't know, blinded by love, I guess, for this Grandpa Robotnik.
I'm just looking at his IMDb because I'm pretty sure he basically said that he's retired minus Sonic. So
Uh, the only thing that I've seen is that if he were to play a character again, he wants to do the Grinch again somehow. And I don't know.
that'd be dope.
I saw that in an interview with him, so he was the one actually saying it. I don't know if that's necessarily in the works or anything like that, but I think that's the only character he's really wanting to play again.
There's one thing on his upcoming for IMDb that's not Sonic, so I don't know. Um, yeah, looking forward to it. All right, well, that was our discussion about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I do look forward to the fourth one. This movie was fantastic in my opinion. Like I said, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Very much looking forward to the next one. These movies seem to be, going in an upward direction, which is really, really good. Um,
Really rare for sequels too.
yeah, and also it's, unless it's like a two-parter, kind of like Wicked, where they knew they were gonna make them no matter what. I mean, this movie has already been greenlit for number four, and they have not even gotten through their first weekend of sales. But I think deep down they knew that this was gonna be amazing, and so they were just like, we know we're gonna get the money, just go, like get number four going. Um, and maybe there's like a time schedule thing that they really need to squeeze in for. So I don't know. That is our discussion on, like I said, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. We will also have The Lion King very shortly, probably tomorrow. So stick around for that. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Drop us a like if you like the video and drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.